Hi, everyone. So we are here with Ricky of Mooch, and I think it's a great company. They have a lot of unmet demand, which they want to switch on and meet. It's a great position for a startup to be in because who does not want to have a bunch of customers trying to get in and to need to increase capacity to meet such interest? But before we get into all of that and all the great traction that you've received as of late, I think it'd be great to get the audience familiarized with who you are. So let's do some rapid questions. Um,
Sure.
okay. Okay. And this is very rapid. Don't answer in a long way. Just do it shortly.
Quick. Yeah, got it.
Okay. What book are you reading or have you recently read? And what did you learn?
Last book I read is Willpower Doesn't Work. It's a book about how you have to change your environment if you want to change yourself, or at least that's the easier way to do it.
Okay. What movie have you been inspired by or have you identified with?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay. That's a good one. What historic character, a character who is not alive now, do you find motivating?
Uh, First one that comes to mind is Einstein.
Einstein.
You
Okay.
know that quote about he just sticks with problems longer. I really like that.
Okay. And let's say everything goes well. Everything goes well. Blockchain goes well. Your life is amazing. And you have all the time and all the wealth in the world. What might you do in the future that you dream of?
My wife and I want to start a dog farm for abandoned dogs, where we have a school bus that picks up your dogs for the day, and then comes to our shelter. They play around in the field all day, and then bring them back. So that's the vision: is a dog shelter slash daycare.
Okay, that's very cool. I'm thinking about adopting a dog. So
But yeah,
yeah.
do it.
Okay. Cool. So there we have it. I think that someone like you, when you look at from a Twitter profile or a LinkedIn profile, you already seem established. And certainly, if you start talking in front of an audience in a stage, then it seems like you're the best entrepreneur in the world. I've heard comments about how you pitch and how great it is. But I think we all start off at level one. We all start off as white belts. And so I'm wondering, what has your story been from adventuring and growing as a young person, coming up all the way to where you are now?
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I started off in advertising with my little bachelor's degree in advertising from University of Florida. And then I found out that I didn't like advertising at all. I was very disconnected from the final product, whatever that may be. And so I moved to San Francisco, became an Uber driver for a little while, and then my very smart wife told me, you should probably try out this coding bootcamp thing. You love tech, you love products, and you'd be good at it. And so that kind of led me to that, which then about a year or so later, I was working at Facebook. And then from there, I was just working on a budgeting app, and I wanted to budget for myself. And this whole DeFi thing was coming along, and I was like, oh man, I could like get paid to budget. And so that led to the idea of Mooch, and here we are. Oh, I can't hear you.
We're unmuted now. So DeFi is a very big word nowadays, and I think that people have an impression of DeFi as fake news or a pyramid scheme. People, especially from traditional finance, think it is the next big bubble that will leave all of us destitute. So that being said, I'm a believer in decentralization, and I think blockchain has great potential. Smart contracts have great potential. Um, so to the layman, how would you explain DeFi and why it's so important for all of us out there who don't care about blockchain?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the first thing that we have to talk about is just like where all the value for your money goes now. I think like there's a really big gap in financial education in the United States today, or really in the world. And I think people would be shocked if they knew how much value was being extracted from their money without them getting any of it. And so that's really what you explained to it is like, why should someone else get the value for your hard-earned money? Shouldn't it be working for you? And you really got to lead with what the value is, not what the news is or what all that is, because that's already a bias in the conversation. So start with just what's the value for them. right? And that's part of the idea behind Mooch is you just get paid to budget, and that's a value. And we're going to build other things like sharing envelopes with your friends, or a smart debit card that budget helps you keep on budget. And these are all things that are repackaging value to you. And that's really what it is. It's like the world has gone from Web 1, where we could read online content from publishers, Web 2, where we could publish content to a centralized form of publishers, to Web 3, where now we're going to have control over our content and our money. And the question is, how do you repackage that value in a simple way? And that's really what I think is missing right now.
Yeah, so if someone's asking how do you repackage that value, then you should respond, well, we at Mooch do XYZ. What is that XYZ? What do you do?
So Mooch is an app that pays you to budget. The idea is we automatically transfer money from your paycheck into and out of envelopes. So you can have an envelope for your rent or car payment, emergency fund, whatever. And when you fill an envelope, you get a completion bonus. And that bonus is essentially the interest. So we essentially pay you to budget, because if you fill your envelope, you pay your bills on time, you've got money in your emergency funds, we're also going to pay for that. And so what happens to your money in the back end is it gets invested in these decentralized finance protocols.
Gotcha. Yeah, token incentive mechanisms are sort of like gamification of society. And although nowadays we see gaming as one thing and economics as another, pretty soon I feel as though the whole world will realize, especially if it's decentralized, that the economic instruments and assets are tied to real behaviors, and they don't all have to represent the same underlying value or the same function. We can have many different kinds of value exchange, many different kinds of trustless trust. But that all being said, I think we're getting into decentralization territory. Back to who you are and back to Mooch. So was there an experience you had or something you heard about in the world that initially made you think, this is an important thing to build and this is what I want to do, after you went to the coding boot camp and equipped yourself with skills? I'm just wondering, what is it that triggered you to take those great skills and then narrow down the focus to a specific issue?
Yeah, so I think a big part of it is like my life's mission is really I want to like leave a better impact than when I left. And that like every step I took brought me there, right? Like first I was just learning how to communicate with people with my advertising degree. And then I learned how to build products at Facebook. And now I'm building a company that helps people budget. And the idea all started when I got married and I just wanted to budget for myself. And I talked to a friend of mine who at the time was working at MakerDAO. And all I really was doing was writing a script that transferred money from my checking and savings account. I knew zero about blockchain and DeFi. I was just some hacker trying to hack my budget. And we had coffee and he's like, look, man, you should put this money that you're putting in your savings account into these DeFi protocols. You already know how to code. You're writing scripts around your bank account anyways. You're one step away from writing the blockchain side code to invest the funds. And I was like, damn, that's a good idea. And I didn't believe him at first. He had to explain what like the over collateralized debt positions are and how compound works and why is my money safe. And then I was like, that's a really good idea. And so I've been in sales before. So I was like, let me see if I can get some validation from regular people. So I like drew up some wireframes on a piece of paper. I put it out on Facebook and I said, hey, meet me at Starbucks. I'll give you $50. I want to show you my app. And that was it. And then people kept saying, oh, this is so great. So I don't have to worry about my budget anymore and I get paid. And then that kept happening. And so I was like, okay, this can be a thing. I got enough proof that this could be a thing and went from there.
Okay. And you're still seeing that demand increase. My understanding is that you have the capability to deliver a lot, but you want to do it properly. And so right now you're experiencing some growing pains, but could we publicly talk about this? Could we tell people how much demand you're seeing?
Yeah, sure. So right now it all kind of stems from our TikTok account. There's 208,000 followers there. There's about 16 or 17,000 people on our wait list. And so the problem right now is we need more funding to be able to pay the transaction costs for the people on the wait list. So right now we're keeping it really, really small. If you download the app today, you're going to be put on a wait list, kind of like Clubhouse did when they first started. And that's because we don't want to mess up people's rent, right? Like if there's a bug in the rent code or the electricity bill, or they can't link their bank account. And we've seen some bugs, to be honest with you, that would have been bad if they rolled out to the masses. Usually when you're a startup, you have your product and you're trying to get people to download it. And we have the opposite problem where we're like, we can't afford it right now to let you all in. So the current plan is we're going to roll out to everyone around February, March. We're going to slowly let people in, probably 1,000 or 2,000 people max, just because we can't afford it until we raise more. So that was part of the planning around the Berkeley Demo Day, which we'll probably get into, but it's to start raising those funds to be able to afford more people.
Okay. How old are you as a company, by the way? How old's your team?
We were founded in January of last year.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I still remember when some companies like Nodal, Acala, StormX, other companies too, but I've been blown away by how fast Berkeley Accelerator companies grow. And just a year or two ago, all these teams were standing in front of us in the selection committee, trying to get in. And now they're running things. They're changing the industry from the ground up. And so I can't wait to see where you go.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really grateful that we got that opportunity too. We got our lead investor out of Berkeley. We got 2 or 3 others. We got members of our team, our legal firm, advisors. Everything has come through that program. I don't think we'd be where we are without them. So really grateful for that community.
Yeah, it's heartwarming.
But true. Yeah.
So, okay, now that we understand your growing pains, what I'm thinking is if a startup is like a strategy game, then the CEO or founder is effectively like someone, with their finger on Clash of Clans or something. You have this high level view and you can decide to mine for resources or deploy troops or do many things. And so I'm wondering from that kind of standpoint, what is it you need and what is it that maybe the community can help you achieve?
Yeah, so I think the main thing we need right now is patience. There's a lot of people asking us like, when's it coming out? And we just don't want to mess up your money. And that's really what it comes down to is that we obviously need funds. There's a possibility we might do a fundraise with Republic and so that public people can participate. But that's still in conversation. I think the next big thing is people. We're going to be hiring a lot once this fundraise is over. So people who care about this problem, people who are excited about taking this kind of risk, I think that's another thing that we're interested in.
Yeah, totally. And for those of you who don't know, Republic Crypto is a company that works in crypto advisory and investment. And they're actually the fundraising partner of many a blockchain accelerator companies. So that's what we're referring to. So to move this farther along, so it seems like you kind of adventured and grew as a person. You realized that you wanted some skills, those skills in order to turn you into an inventor, kind of like Einstein. And then as an inventor, it seemed like, well, if you're coding on banks anyway, then why not just jump into DeFi and do the blockchain stuff too? But then seems like you really fortunately met some good friends along the way in MakerDAO and other places, I'm sure. Then now it's about, let's say, a year-ish that you've been driving this ship. It seems like a tight ship, actually. Tell me about how your team has grown and how you want your team to grow, minus the product, minus the tech, just your people.
Yeah. So the first, I like to say the first investor in my company was my wife. She's the one who gave the time to let me code and do all these things. So she's the first team member. Then after that came Kevin, my co-founder. We have a really interesting story about how we met. So it was early 2020, and I was like, hey, I'm going to start this thing. I really want someone with a finance operations background to navigate all that stuff. I'm just a coder, right? And so, then this COVID thing hit, and I wasn't going to be able to network. My plan was I'm just going to go to networking events, or maybe I'll meet someone at Facebook and network like that. And that obviously didn't work. So I posted on r/co-founder and got a bunch of responses on Reddit. A bunch of random people. But Kevin seemed pretty cool. He had a master's from Harvard in finance. He was working in banking. And he was really, really great. And so we worked together for a little bit on a trial period, and then he joined. And that's kind of, him and I have been shaping the foundation of the team. We have a few really important values on our team, and the biggest one, you asked about like how we want to grow the team and the culture. Our biggest value is that we don't call the people that use our app users. We call them partners. And this is down to the code level. If you type the word user in our Slack, it autocorrects you to partner. If you try to use the word user in the code base, we're working on something that will throw an error so that you can't actually compile your code. And this is so we get in the mindset that these are people that we're working with, not taking advantage of. I think that's a big trap that the next fintech or the next big company can fall into, is not seeing them as partners. And so that's really like one of the core things you got to believe if you come here, is there aren't really users, there's just partners. They're essentially giving us their money and we're doing something for them with it. That's what a partnership is. So there's that value. We also are really big into the concepts of making the default value success. We spend a lot of time writing tests and double checking things and triple checking things. And this falls back to the thing that people are trusting us. And we don't want to break that trust. If we break it once, we broke it forever. And so we understand that takes time. So people who are patient, we understand the urgency, but we know that it's better to get it right than to get it out and then screw up somebody's livelihood.
Yeah, and that's a very well-reasoned stance. I think that's awesome. A lot of times entrepreneurship leans towards just move, man. Just build the parachute on the way down. And I don't think that kind of a shoot from your hip mentality works generally, especially when you're dealing with financial technology, when you're dealing with large amounts of money, because money is emotional. And okay, partner, I like the sound of that. Yeah, so I'm wondering then, if someone joins Mooch and becomes a partner, a customer, someone who enjoys the app, then would the following be true? And I'm an idealist, so maybe I'm painting a great picture, but would the following be true, that if the blockchain industry does well, then decentralized finance does well, then more value gets locked into decentralized finance applications, which means that through the DeFi applications, you as well as your partners will do well. And as you do well, more people will join. Therefore, your influence and impact inside the space, your market share inside the space, will allow you to then forge more partnerships and do more things. And effectively, it's not as much a bubble, but just a wave, or an upwards growth curve. Is that kind of yeah? Is that kind of what you're looking at, or or am I missing something?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, I think anybody who's a partner in Mooch, either you're an investor or you are a customer, like using the app, you're essentially making the belief that you think blockchain is going to grow, and you want to get some value out of it. And so, yes, you're budgeting, you're paying your bills on time, but really our job at Mooch is to repackage that value and bring it to you so you don't have to chase this thing. If you were to do this yourself and try to chase down DeFi yields, you're going to be, you probably do that, Luke. You're probably doing that like every week. You're changing from this protocol to that protocol, or changing this coin, or switching blockchains, or whatever it is you're doing, right? And the average worker doesn't have the time or resources or financial education to do that. And so this is a really simple way to get exposure to that without needing to worry about the nitty-gritty changes that happen every day. That's our job. And so that's the idea, is as DeFi continues to grow, as blockchain continues to grow in value, our job is to bring that value to you, the partner. And so that's what you're doing when you're giving Mooch your money, is you're essentially saying, you guys go get the value and bring it to me however you can. We start with interest rates, but there's other things we can do too, like buying things with friends or family, buy now, pay later. These are all things that are sort of, as DeFi builds out, insurance and credit and all these things, we'll be able to repackage that and bring the value to you.
So I've always believed that decentralized finance, blockchain, decentralization, cryptocurrency, these things allow for humanity as a whole to access opportunities that only the elites have had previously.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, when I hear criticism that DeFi is kind of like turning every man into a rent-seeking capitalist, DeFi is kind of like turning any random 20-year-old into the creator of a minor economy, which could probably succeed or fail. So I wonder, from your perspective, how do you feel about this revolutionary stance in blockchain that we're somehow taking power or access from the elite and bringing it to the masses, or this idea also that actually blockchain is just something dangerous, which renders every individual person their own lord, their own rent seeker, their own monetary system?
Yeah. I think they're both right. The everybody who watches Spider-Man, they know the first line, right? With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening here, right? So because of the concept of how private keys work and blockchain is, there is no reset password. There is no rewind button. There is no customer support, undo function. That I don't think it's going to be a world where every single person is their own minor economy and they're all interacting with these blockchain protocols directly. I think that's just too much to ask, because what you're going to have there is different levels of understanding of how the system works. And just like now, how you have stock advisors or robo advisors, I think that's going to be true for how you interact with DeFi protocols. The difference is you're going to get a lot more value than you do from the current system. So I do think that there will be people, a lot of them, hopefully, that are just managing their own funds directly, that are interacting with these protocols, and they understand the concept of private keys and no undo button and all that stuff. But I do think that there's going to be a large chunk of people who just, want to live their lives and not focus on that every day, and that are going to want something in the middle to manage it for them that has that trust, that is for them. Not against them, or not trying to extract value out of them, but rather trying to extract value out of their money together. So that's where I think we're going to end up. We're going to end up in this hybrid state. I don't really buy that we will all be using our own wallets and hardware keys, and I just can't imagine like a grandparent doing that or whatever. There's going to be some of us who just, we use the financial services in the middle, and the good thing is that there's so much value to be had that anybody who's trying to profit maximize and steal value from their customer is going to lose. Because if they're not getting close to what an individual like blockchain enthusiast would get to, they're going to realize that and switch, and somebody's going to be able to bring that value to them. So I think it's a good news for us as like humans who participate in the economy.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the final landscape will look like.
I think it's going to be a meritocracy of applications, of use cases. I think people are smart enough to figure out for themselves, for sure. How I feel about Mooch is that recently I had dinner with my mother, and she was talking about crypto. And I thought, well, she has actually more capital than I do. I did pretty well in crypto, but I mean, she's lived a longer life. So fair's fair. She can get in and play a big game. But also, my mom does not know that much about high-level tech, and she's not interested. And so that being said, there needs to be a middle layer. There needs to be someone, not me, because I don't want to be your fund manager, that is trustworthy. And so then I think, if only I could tell my mom, oh, that website, go sign up. It'll be okay. If only I could tell her, oh, my buddy, so he has a thing that's really good. Just talk to him and we'll take care of your money. Then that would be the way to mainstream adoption. And it's not one of those things where I sell snake oil because I've joined some sort of hypey coin. It's because I believe that she should be investing in the new economy, not the old. Although buying a house is still a good idea. But that said, I have personal experiences in DeFi, both good and bad. I mean, on one hand, I saw within the matter of 6 months, some assets I put into a DeFi platform more than quadruple. And that's half a year. So I'm watching as I'm thinking, wow. So first of all, I need to straighten my mind. I don't deserve this money. I didn't work for this money. This is not wage labor. I have basically made money grow on trees, and I can't be proud of this. And yet it did happen, and I'm happy. A lot of people think
Yeah.
they deserve the money they make in DeFi, and I'm like, maybe not. But then again, that's not the real point here. The point is, I took a step back and thought, well, I need to double down. So then I went into more risky things, and man, I've been in the industry 5 years. I do things very securely, but somehow someone found a way to hack me. And I was so surprised. I watched this get done to some of my other friends who are actually coders too. There are very smart people who choose to use their skills, not like you do, to provide value, but to go around stealing from others. And, this is a situation where if my mom suffered something like I did, then it wouldn't have been okay. So, so I get where you're going. And I wonder, in a 20-year future, I don't know if your plan is to exit the company somehow, or maybe to turn it into a financial institution that survives for hundreds of years. I don't know, but what is your vision around that?
So I think it depends on like honestly where the regulatory environment goes. I would love to do a true IPO or a true ICO, right, where you're just giving it back to everyone, and it can be owned by the community. That would be my ultimate goal. I mean, I'm sure you saw the interviews with Congress this last week where we're so behind there that I don't know if we'll get there by the time we're ready for it. But that'd be my ideal case, is to give it back to the partners and kind of make it a community-owned thing, because that's just the best way to ensure that everyone's extracting value from it and there's no central entity just hoarding all the value and squeezing the customers dry. So that'd be my ideal case. But I wouldn't be opposed to being absorbed by another firm that also has that goal. So that's also a possibility. I think at the end of the day, I don't want to sell it to Citibank or Chase or something. Although who knows if they're waving that big number around. Everybody complains tomorrow, but everyone might not be. But that is my vision for it, and that's really how it started. In fact, originally I wanted to do like a token, but the U.S. regulatory market was just like, my lawyers are like, don't. You're gonna kill the company before it starts, and so we didn't do that. So yeah, that's kind of where we land. I'd like to be able to just give it back, give all the value back once we get to the stage where it can be community managed.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I was thinking as you were speaking that you remind me of Robin Hood, but then realized that name is taken in the corporate world. So yeah.
When they did what they did, I was so heated because I was like, that's such a good name and you wasted it to do what you did. And
oh. Yeah, so actually that was my exact next point. So a good friend of mine, when bad things went down with Robinhood and with GameStop, and news was coming up around how sometimes financial entities that especially youth like to take advantage of, how sometimes these entities actually are exploiting you. When we were talking about these sorts of topics, my buddy was like, I've been in blockchain and I've been in DeFi because I believe in it. But now I'm in it because we have enemies. Now I'm in it because traditional finance is bad.
It's always good to have a bad guy. Always.
Well, yeah, but do you feel like somehow you're on the front line of a necessary change, or that you're fighting some evil in the world?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know if I'm fighting evil. I hope so. I mean, I hope to be on the good side of that. I think what's really interesting about our company, and probably what we understand just from what we've been through, is we're right on the line between DeFi and CeFi, right? We're like dancing on it. We're doing backflips and somersaults on that line. That's where we are, because we're so involved in the CeFi world, because we're about your bank account and your payday and your expenses and your real world stuff. And then we're also moving your money into the blockchain world and the DeFi world. And so we're really at the cutting edge of like, where are things shifting and how? And so understanding that line, and like it hampers us, right? Because we can't just like launch a token because of all the regulatory stuff that goes into our CeFi part of the world. But then when we look at like the blockchain part of the world, there's so much value to be extracted out of it. We have to figure out how can we repackage that to real world value in a regulatorily compliant manner. And so we it's so weird. We'll have like one pitch where we're pitching bankers, and they're super concerned about the DeFi risk, and then we're pitching blockchain investors, and they're very worried, like, oh, what about this protocol, and can you try this? And like, we're just trying to get our lawyers to let us give people yields. Like, we're not trying to do anything crazy. So we're very much on that line, and that's kind of like what we're getting good at, is like, what are we going to be able to do, and how do we package that value back to our partners?
Okay, gotcha. So then, who would your ideal customer be? Like, if someone has stumbled upon this video by chance, let's say that Twitter recommended them the video somehow, we got lucky and we found the right customer demographic somewhere in Bangladesh. Yeah. I don't know. So, if you were to say, if you, the audience, are A, B, and C, then it's a no-brainer. You should try us out. What would be that pitch?
Yeah, I think the basic thing is, like, do you feel like you're overwhelmed by budgeting, and do you want something simple? It's really it. And there's so many options out there that, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And we're just coming to you and saying, look, we're going to take care of your budget for you, and you're going to get some interest on top of it. And we're going to grow with you. As you grow and have more financial needs, maybe you just graduated college, maybe you're just starting your first job, maybe you just moved out of your parents' place, and now you're really having to take care of yourself and you don't know how. This is a good start, because we're going to make sure your bills are taken care of. We're going to make sure that you are saving for the right things, and we're going to grow with you. And so that would be the person who I'd want to join, is someone who wants their budget taken care of, is excited by blockchain, and know we're going to bring them more of that value. And we're just starting now with these bonuses. But as that grows, there'll be more value. And if you're excited about blockchain, and you want to get some of that value for yourself, and you want to pay your bills, then you should come to us.
So sometimes when you join a project early as a community member, you might get a free NFT drop or an airdrop of tokens or privileged access to certain groups, whatever. If someone's an early community member for Mooch, then what happens?
Nothing. We cannot give any sort of financial incentive. Our lawyers have told us, like, don't. So I can't even say anything about that. We can't do anything like that.
Okay, maybe just send them T-shirts.
Yeah, we could do things like a T-shirt or a giveaway. We do a lot of giveaways, actually. That's something we'll be doing, but it won't be like any crypto asset or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, you can even give them all invites to some crypto conference party, like sponsored party. Make it a little mini, like make your party committee a DAO.
Yeah. The party planning committee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, have some random people around the world organize your parties. Yeah, with the treasury. Okay. So I feel like at this point, the audience has a good understanding of your story and the company and where you're at right now, your growing pains, what your priorities are.
Yeah.
In terms of how you look at the industry itself, and especially people who you might want to help you navigate this changing space, what kinds of high-level hires or strategic partners are you trying to bring on right now?
Yeah, so the big hires right now are we're going to be looking for a few senior engineers on iOS and Android, product manager, and really the one we're most excited about, actually, from a hiring perspective, is customer support. This is actually a big deal, because people are always going to have questions about what's going on with their money and their rents and their envelopes and their bank accounts. And so the great thing about how our customer support's going to work is we have this partnership idea. And so you really get to build that out. And, like, what does customer support look like at a bank or a fintech where they're actually involved in the company and their partners? What does that look like? So that's a really big deal. And then also we're going to be looking for someone on the blockchain side that's really keeping us on the right direction for what are we investing in from our product side that we can repackage blockchain value for. So kind of like a senior blockchain architect kind of thing, where you won't be writing protocols and stuff like that, but you'll be helping us plan products and what we build out as different blockchain technologies mature. Okay,
gotcha. This is less operational or tactical, really. I'm just curious. When you hire, what do you hire for? Character traits and qualities.
Well, I think first thing is, like, don't be an asshole.
Okay.
if you're, condescending or snobby, it's just not going to work. I think the biggest thing that we look for is, do they get the partner thing right away? And is that something that they're passionate about? That the problem with the current banking system and financial system is we're trying to extract so much value from them instead of with them. And you got to get that like right away. The good news is most people excited about blockchain and DeFi get that right away. But that's the big thing. So if you're coming from, when we brought on Kevin, I was really worried that he'd be so into the old banking world, my co-founder, that he wouldn't get that. And that was a big thing we had to make sure that he got, and he did. And that's why he's a co-founder now. So that's really it, is you got to have that passion about that problem.
Okay, gotcha. Where are you all based?
Fully remote. We got people in Europe, Portland, LA, New York, San Francisco, everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, man. It's a new world. I think the past 2 or 3 companies that I've helped launch, none of them have physical offices. They never intend to. And they're spending that kind of money on organizing offsites. And so it's a situation where there is physical contact and there is a sense of camaraderie. And community members who might not even know each other's real names, just the avatars on a Discord or a Telegram group, they're actually good friends. They back each other up. They're creating full marketing campaigns together, making big decisions about certain things in a certain product. And so it's a changing world, and I can't wait to see what it all opens up into. That said, I'm curious if there's anything you want to plug or any call to action that you have right now, because again, you're one of our recent core companies. So we have a big interest in helping you to reach your next steps and evolve. And hopefully in 2 or 3 years' time, we can come back on this platform and talk about how everything went fantastic and all the dreams that you told us about here have come true.
Yeah, that'll be a really fun interview. So I think just the big plug here would be to connect with us. We're at a Mooch Life everywhere. So a Mooch Life on Instagram, TikTok. And then you can find us in the App Store under Mooch, budgeting and saving. So yeah, just connect with us, communicate with us. We're going to be talking about giveaways and new features and doing more interviews and stuff like that. So just connect with us, join us and get it going.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time in the Xcelerator podcast. Bye.
All right. Bye.